Jinzou Enemy. I was jarred awake by the sound of a blaring siren. My heartbeat shot upwards as I was greeted by the plain white ceiling above me. Still unaware of my surroundings, I flailed around, knocking over the small desk at my side, and fell out of bed. I banged my right shin hard. A beat and then a burning discomfort was relayed to my brain. My eyes teared up in fear from the pain and the furious noise. I pulled the sprawled out comforter towards me, cocooning myself inside. Then the siren stopped. "Good morning, Master." The moment I heard that voice, I finally understood the situation I was in. Here I was, Shintaro Kisaragi, body unnaturally twisted on the floor, clad in underpants and bedsheets, tears in my eyes. And there she was, N.A., looking on from inside the monitor display, tears in her eyes as she tried to choke back her laughter. It was just the height of summer. Just a little while ago, everyone was going nuts over meteor strikes and the Mayans or whoever predicted the end of the world. Now, it's back to business as usual. The top headlines all stuff like, "Guess which breakout idol is about to make her TV drama debut?" For someone with a vocation like mine, someone who prides himself on keeping up with the latest news and who engaged in heated frontline debates about the apocalypse all across the net, I had to admit that things in general were failing to wow me lately. Of course, maybe vocation is overstating it. Normally, I would be a regular old 18-year-old high school student. But instead, I have generously volunteered to remain at home, keeping close watch over my domestic domain during those times when I haven't devoted myself to the free exchange of opinion with other denizens of the internet. My primary work duties involve creating amateur music, a hobby I started completely from scratch, and posting my erstwhile insightful reviews day and night in the comment section of whatever's just been posted to my preferred video site. I've been at the job for 2 years. I haven't made many songs, keep in mind, but, look out world, because today, for a change, I'm ready to do this. I crammed the sandwich my mother supplied me this morning into my mouth and stared at the music sequencer window in front of me. My mission? To reach #1 on the video site rankings, to get my song on ringtones and in karaoke rooms, to release my first major album. Basically, I want to be lavished with attention. Most days, this lofty ambition sadly gets sidetracked, falling to dust after half an hour or so as I push forward with my pressing video commenter obligations. But no, today will not be like most. The sandwich is filled with more than just my mother's love. There must be something else in it that drives me now, filling me to overflowing with catchy music riffs, like the muses themselves have possessed me. "Oh, this is gonna explode," I said to myself as I began punching in notes. This composition work was going so unbelievably smoothly that it was unnerving. But there was something else flitting around the display. A kind of virus, if you will. One plainly bent on interfering with my mission. "Looks like it'll be a scorcher today. Wow, they're saying it's gonna get up to 95 downtown. Oh, look out. They've already taken 10 or so people to the hospital for heat stroke. Better take ample precautions when you go outside, Master." I have no idea why anyone would go outside on a day like this. Though, really, I have no idea why anyone would go outside, period. Oh, speaking of which, Master, today's siren was an alert used by certain nations in case of threat level 4 or higher incidents. I boosted the frequency bands I thought you'd find the most grating, and what the hell do you mean today's siren? Got one for tomorrow, too? Oh, great. I just had to sass back at her. She had been shifting to and fro across the display, futilely trying to engage me in an inane conversation. Now she was stopped, standing tall, the smile providing the cherry on top to the look of utter victory on her face. She was front and center on the screen now as she joyfully continued. "Oops, guess I let the cat out of the bag. Now I'll have to find something even more exciting for tomorrow. Oh, and no need to thank me, of course. Seeing a happy customer's face is all the thanks I need." "I didn't ask for a sales rep. You know this is gonna bruise, right? This is aggravated assault we're talking about." I pointed out the soon-to-be blunt force trauma on my shin, plaintively stating my case as she cackled like a witch, furtively rubbing her hands together. It was a futile effort. A question mark popped over her head as she tilted her head in a brazen attempt at shocked confusion. It was August 14th. 3 in the morning, by the way. The siren that so suddenly blared across the house had beaten not only just myself, but my mother out of bed. She rushed over to my room, only to find her son ranting and raving at this cute viral cybergirl on the computer display. As the shouting intensified, causing far more consternation for the neighbors than any siren, and as I found myself receiving a face-to-fist greeting from good old Mom for the effort, morning slowly crept across the landscape. Which brings us to now. I hadn't looked in the mirror yet, but I assumed I had a bruise on my face as well by now. You gotta be kidding me. What the hell am I gonna do if she destroys my computer? Die. Oh, Master, you were so kind to me, putting your concern for me above your own. And you even came right to me the moment you woke up this morning. She zoomed herself in on screen, her eyes shining like a reject from some old shoujo manga. I flew out into yet another violent rage. Yeah, 'cause I'm gonna delete your ass. If I lose my computer, that's gonna kill me, not you. Oh, there you go again. You can't fool me. I know how thoughtful and caring a master you really are. Yep, every day with you, nothing but bliss. This was getting nowhere. It never did. It never, ever gets anywhere with her. I'm sick of it. How did this wind up happening to me? Let me think. About a year ago, I received an enigmatic email from an unknown sender. I opened it, something I would never dare do today, and the result made my life the stressful farce it is now. The moment this thing lurking in the email attachment wriggled its way onto my computer, it commandeered every single square inch of my hard drive. At the time, I had no idea what had happened. I saw these geometric shapes pop up on my desktop, on top of all the application windows, and then this girl appeared, her blue hair done up in twin pigtails, a faint glow covering her entire body. I thought it was cute at first. I really did. It's hard to believe now. This girl I was suddenly presented with extruded mystery. My mind conjured up images of some distressed heroine going on, like, "Oh, you finally saved me. We must fight together for justice," etc. It was more than enough for someone like me. A troll in a troll cave, the utter dregs of society. To think I had finally drawn the world-beating hero card. The encounter was just too perfect, driving me to flights of terribly mistaken fancy. Soon we would be battling a shadowy organization, investigating supernatural incidents nationwide, uniting with our stalwart band of friends as we fought off hideous monsters. The first episode of a rip-snorting adventure. But no supernatural incidents took place. Remarkably, I didn't grow a magical demon eye or anything. A band of friends was out of the question. I was just lucky if I could get my mail-order packages delivered right. Monsters? Well, there were some cockroaches. And I don't think I've ever heard of an adventure tale where the first line was, "Oh, nice to meet you," followed by, yeah. To start out, I told her about my life. Nothing too deep, but at least we could start to sustain a normal conversation back then. "Could I ask who you are?" I said. I was taking pains to be polite to her for some reason. "It's just that I've never heard of any kind of software package like this." "Well," she replied, "I don't really know myself." A lot of that kind of thing. And that, really, was a lot healthier than now. I could ask her things, and she'd actually give me a reply. But I guess she got used to things after about a week, her behavior growing notably more bizarre, and she began to both interfere with my noble work and just plain screw around with me. She renamed the folders with all my embarrassingly heartfelt lyrics and such, as Pig's Feet. The repository of cherished, hand-picked images I had spent my life collecting and observing had its name changed to Carnal Graveyard. After a month, the renaming vengeance spread across my entire PC. Even the file names of all the demo data for the tracks I was building had been overwritten with rather more sensitive titles. The sort of titles that, if I had built an album out of them, might kick off a completely new genre. I won't bother going into the throat-burning tirades that followed each incident. None of them had any notable effect on her. "Hey, you changed my login and password, didn't you?" Here we go again. My login for the video site was refusing to work this morning. I didn't remember changing the password either. Which, 9 times out of 10, meant it was her work. "Oh, well done, Master. I'm so happy you spotted it so quickly." "Change it back, now." "Oh, don't get in such a lather. Look what I've got for you." The No button silently selected itself in the Save Changes window. Every single window on the desktop closed. Not minimized, closed in an instant. Oh my god. Then, like the climax of some terrible 80s game show, a multiple choice quiz came up on screen. Right, question 1. Get this correct and I'll give you the first password to Are You Crazy? I am going to kill you. Give me my song. Give it back! Anyone watching from afar as I shot out of my chair and yelled hysterically at the display probably would have found it hilarious. She herself looked put off, wearing a kind of, whoa, who's this guy? This ain't good kind of expression. Even though it was her damn fault. Ugh. I had lost the strength to go on. I cradled my head in my hands, preparing to bang it against the desk in agony, when I felt something ominous around my elbow. Ah, Master, your drink! Huh? The soda I was in the middle of drinking was pouring itself over my keyboard and mouse. A second scream thundered across my room as I, in a panic, beat the keyboard senseless with my ever-handy tissues. I feared the worst, visions of my hardware getting drenched in high fructose corn syrup dancing in my head. But I couldn't allow myself to entertain thoughts like that. Body and soul, I had to focus on resurrecting this endangered, valuable life. Come on, live! Everything I could wipe was wiped. Hurriedly, I tested out the keys. The only ones that responded were O, R, and T. Apparently, I was too late. Tears of frustrated resignation ran down my cheeks. Oh, Master! Mouse! Her voice snapped me back to reality. Yes, she's right. I still had another life to save. Holding back the tears, I put the mouse in hand. Please come back to me. I found myself gurgling out loud as I single-mindedly buried the mouse in a flurry of tissues. I couldn't say how long I spent on the task, but when I was done, all that worked was the right mouse button. The context menu popped up on screen, cruelly, hatefully. Why does this world have to be so heartless? What did these poor wretches do to anyone? It was just too horrible to contemplate. Oh, hey Master, you can still type rot, alright? That's one word at least. Just shut up. Please. I was possessed by a sudden urge to trash the entire computer setup. But doing that would kill me. Nobody else. Covering my face with my hands, I stood strong against the crashing torrents of hopelessness, bottling up my rage as there was nowhere else for it to go. For a while, there was silence. The whir of the AC unit filled the room, the air flowing in near my feet before gradually wafting upwards and cooling my head. This is it. The absolute worst thing that could happen. With all of her past pranks, I reacted with abject fury, deleting her time and time and time again. But she must have had some sort of backup of herself on the net, because as long as I was online, she would resurrect herself, reoccupying my screen the moment after her deletion like nothing had happened. But, you ask, wouldn't staying offline solve the problem? Well, perhaps. But I couldn't bear the thought of living in that particular hell for even a few hours. So every time the cycle began anew. Truly, she was an enemy of mankind. One created by human hands. NA, the enemy. I don't know who it was, but whoever installed this hypercharged AI with that insane personality must have been some kind of sociopath. I sighed. We had gone through this chain of wanton destruction multiple times by this point. But today, there was just too much happening at once. Her myopic bouts of sadism would have driven anyone weaker than me to insanity by now. If you ask me, I think I've held out pretty well. I wouldn't have minded getting a little appreciation for it, in fact. But no, I'm alone. An unemployed shut-in. Worthless. It was hard to say how many minutes had passed as all of these desperate thoughts flashed through my mind. I suddenly noticed an eerie sense of quiet around me. I had told her to shut up, yes, but it was rare for her to actually listen to me for so long. I turned an eye toward the display, only to find a shocking sight beaming back at me. The screen displayed a list of estimated delivery dates from assorted online electronics sites. This wasn't the surprising thing. She was, moping apologetically on screen, trying to gauge my reaction. Our eyes met. She said, averting her eyes as she pointed out the keyboard and mouse I had all but set up a wake for. I don't know. I wasn't expecting this to happen. It was just kind of a joke, you know? I was stupefied. Where the hell did that come from? Then I realized why she was trying to fish a response from me. You're not actually sorry, are you? She seemed to come to attention, but quickly turned back downward. As I saw her shyly swing her legs back and forth, I began to feel how I did the first few days after we met. I found myself looking aside as well, a strange, nervous energy dominating my mind. I had to say something. Well, there's no point crying over spilled milk, I guess. Plus, they were both pretty old. I was kind of thinking about replacing them anyway. That was about all I had. I looked back at the display. Her back was turned to me as she furiously flipped through all the shopping sites she could find. Yes, exactly what I thought. I was just thinking it was time for a big upgrade. I mean, I'm shocked they lasted as long as they did. Talk about durable. I was speechless. I don't think I've ever experienced such a strange, nonsensical feeling before. There was no more anger, no more sadness. Instead, my heart was filled with sheer emptiness. Oh, that's rough. My body was still savoring the profound void in my chest when her words stopped me. Rough? What's the problem? Just look for any place with same-day delivery. As long as it's usable, I don't care. Well, about that, I know this is kind of my fault too, but kind of all your fault. I know you'll probably die unless you get this stuff today or tomorrow. Pretty much. Yeah, see, so I'm looking around and all, but do you know what day it is, Master? Huh? The 14th, isn't it? Probably. Oh, God. Startled, I scanned the search results open to full screen on the display. Every one of them read same-day delivery unavailable. It's the Obon holiday. Every business in Japan is closed for the Obon break. Most of them can't even ship out until the day after tomorrow. I could feel myself growing dizzy. The day after tomorrow? 2 whole days? I slumped deep into my desk chair. 2 days. To normal people, that's nothing. But to me, this was a matter of life and death. If you asked me to go on a hunger strike, I could probably handle that for 2 days. If you asked me to go without sleep, I could probably stay awake for 2 days. But this is different. This is like oxygen to me. It's literally telling me to stop breathing. Can you hold your breath for 2 days? No, of course you can't. After 2 years of this lifestyle, that was how badly I had to fuse myself, heart and soul, with the internet. I had a cell phone, yes, but for whatever reason, we never got any bars inside the house. In fact, I used it so rarely that I wasn't even sure if it worked any longer. The computer itself wasn't broken, which was great, but as long as its control interface was completely dead, that metal box was as good as useless. If, for example, this girl sitting in the display were a little more understanding, it wouldn't be that devastating an issue. I could give her some voice commands, she could handle them for me, we could somehow work it out. But if I had to deal with her for 2 whole days, I'd probably get a bleeding ulcer from the stress or whatever. I'd be dead within 24 hours. I had kept myself free of a horrible, bloody death up until now by sticking to a strict ignore her policy whenever she spoke to me. And now you want me to give her requests? If I suggested that to her, she'd no doubt eagerly agree, eyes shining bright, like a kid with a new toy. Even now, she was staring at me innocently. I could almost hear her voice already. Well, not much choice left, is there? Is there? Come on! I had only 2 options. Give up the computer and die, or become her toy and die. They both suck. The sense of hopelessness was strong enough to take word form as a sigh escaped my lips. It honestly sounded stupid when I thought about it, but I was quite confident that if I ever went offline, I really would die. No exaggeration. Seeing myself faced with this ridiculous situation, with death the only feasible method of escape, made me want to cry. What? Well, I imagine you have your own feelings about this, but I think I probably went a little too far this time. She had already started her mopey little show again, nervously swinging her legs. The same angle that had already tricked me once before. Is that the only variation in your apology routine or what? I'm not falling for that crap twice. No, I mean it. So just give me a second. I'm really sorry, okay? 3 days, 4 days, no matter how long it takes. I can serve as your eyes and ears. Her zoomed-in face loomed on screen as she made her enigmatic plea. Uh-huh. So, until your stuff comes in the mail, you can feel free to use me as your keyboard and stuff. I won't mess around or anything. I'll do exactly what you tell me to do. I mean it. She went even more extreme with the close-ups, her eyes welling up a little. Damn. I didn't know she had that in her variation too. That was all it took to get an 18-year-old virgin's heart racing. I was hopeless. Hang on, though. I'm not about to fold that easily. Or maybe I was. I was having trouble thinking straight. She did search the shopping sites for me, and she really seems to be... sorry? Is that the right word? As I contemplated this, I spotted some text on screen behind her. Hang on. On the bottom left of the screen, behind her massively zoomed-in face, if you squinted, you could see the question on the multiple-choice quiz app from earlier being rewritten. Question 1. Answer this, Master, and you can input one character of your search term. But be careful, because if you get it wrong, I'll start posting cherished images from your secret repository one by one to... No. She tilted her head quizzically, her eyes still welling up with tears, as cute as she could muster. But the days of her eliciting emotions of any kind from me were over. How much to look behind you? Ma! Turning around in a whirl, she closed the app, then peered back with her eyes welled up, as if nothing were amiss. She was a bit shaken, having trouble perpetuating the act, but her tears were welling up to a higher point than ever, as if to make up the difference. Quit it. Quit what? 2 years. Looking back on everything that's transpired did make me emotional in some ways, but I knew that I only had one option left to survive. I stood up and opened the closet door. I never even so much as took a walk around the block, so normally I rotated between only a few articles of clothing. The idea of a full-on clothes dresser seemed silly to me, but today, and today alone, I was going to open this up. Master! The voice behind me was filled with shock and surprise at this unbelievable turn of events. I opened the first drawer, revealing a well-folded hoodie and windbreaker. Memories, long tucked away, from an era when I still wore this stuff regularly, flowed in a heavy stream. Oof. Recalling a variety of incidents from my past, I could feel the aches from old wounds come pouring back at the forefront. I shook the cobwebs from my head, took the tracksuit jacket folded up top on the far right, and closed the drawer. The second drawer contained a lovingly arranged selection of cargo pants and shorts. I selected a set of khaki pants and briskly pushed the knob back in. Master, what's happening to you? Removing the sweatpants I had on, I started putting on my outfit. As I did, my mind began to feel distressed, as if faced with some sudden, insurmountable crisis. I've never seen you wear anything like that before. What are you doing? Shopping. Huh? I'm going out shopping. Something wrong with that? Shopping? This was apparently not the reply she expected. Well, what the hell did she think I'd be doing? Yeah, shopping. I'm not going to rely on you, so I'm going to go buy it all myself. Shopping? Boy, what a relief that is. I thought you were going to commit suicide or something for a moment. I'm not freaking committing suicide. What kind of freak kills himself because he spilled a drink on his keyboard? You, Master. Yeah, but... Honestly, it wasn't outside the realm of possibility. I hated to admit it, but I could understand the impulse. Amid this mindless chatter, I continued to dress myself. I guess this'll do. With the windbreaker zipped up to the very top, my wardrobe was complete. These clothes all felt a little stiff. I hadn't worn them in a while. I felt oddly nervous, as if wearing them for the first time. Hey, that actually looks pretty good on you. Like, Normally you're a hopeless case, but... you think so? I hope this is okay. Totally okay. A real man's man. Yeah? You're gonna make me blush. It was embarrassing, but I felt more than a little satisfied with myself as I turned towards the display. There I saw a window filled with images of perfect-looking male models in an array of top-shelf fashions. Beyond this display I could hear her voice. You look so cool! I always knew you had some fashion sense in you. Ah, come on. You're gonna make me lose my nerve. What do you mean? Forget it. I know I look okay, alright? I was quickly losing any nerve I might have had to go outside, but there was no turning back now. I took down the bag hanging in the closet and slung it around my head. I was set, more or less. Now for the accessories. I need my wallet, and that's kinda it, huh? I plucked the wallet, which normally saw use only when shopping online, from near the pillows at my bed. That should do it. Whew. Well, I'm off. I took a deep breath, then approached the bedroom door. Wait a minute, Master. Just when my hand was on the knob, her voice made me turn back towards the computer. What? Haven't you done enough for one day? Seriously. I know, I just, this is your first day out in a while, right? I just figured, maybe 2 would be better than 1, so... 2? You think I got someone I can invite over? Thanks to my unflagging dedication to my craft over the past 2 years, I didn't have a single friend I could make contact with. Even if I did, I wasn't about to invite anyone along. I didn't mean that, Master. I mean, well, if I were with you, I could help you navigate and stuff. So... She was plainly waiting for me to get the picture. I wasn't dense enough to miss the take me along message. But did she really want me to lug the computer with me? How are you gonna come along? If you want to join me, you're gonna have to jump out of there first. What? You mean it? Okay, I'm coming out. 1, 2... Smiling, she pointed at a small chest of drawers next to the bed. Atop it, my touchscreen cell phone, covered in dust. The height of summer. Height was the only way you could really put it. I had no clue summer was even supposed to get this hot. My body, generously blessed with the glory of air conditioning until just a moment ago, was all but making breakfast grill sizzling sounds as the sweat poured off me. All of this in the space of just 20 seconds. I had begun my journey at a confident saunter, but I could feel my hit points quickly being drained. Testing. Can you hear me, Master? Check 1, 2... How about we just go home? What? What was that? Hey, can you bring me a little closer when you talk, please? Never mind. The owner of that nagging voice probably didn't know how to feel heat. I couldn't have been more jealous. With my ear canal headphones on, I grabbed my phone like some kind of walkie-talkie. I may have looked like an agent on some kind of mission. She had all but forced me to bring her along in the end, threatening to play that Siren from this morning again, or go on my high school's online forum and place a personal ad using my real name. She was beaming as she strolled around my phone's standby screen. Somehow, I doubted she'd be accepting any calls that showed up. I never imagined that software would be operating me one day, not the other way around. Although the operator in question is really more of a modern-day plague spirit. Out on the street, I was faced with the full brunt of summer's brutal barrage. Haze was shimmering off the far end of the road. I felt like an Arctic, or Antarctic for that matter, creature suddenly thrown into the savannah. It was hot. Temperature, humidity, the exact statistics mattered little. It was just hot. You have to be kidding me. This is what summer's like? Weren't you listening to me earlier? People were going into the hospital for heat stroke. Oh, did you bring your insurance card, Master? Sure did. All set for the ambulance. Before I left, I had brought a few things to ensure I was ready for anything that happened. If worse came to worse and I collapsed in a pile of molten goo, at least they know who I am. Or was. Perfect! Nothing to worry about then. Let's get truckin'. Yeah. Wait, no! Why are you bossing me around? This is all your fault. I'm here in the first... Oh, hey! Right at the next stoplight. Right! Huh? This street? Sorry. Man, I don't remember these roads at all. I don't even know where I am any longer. Well, you never go outside, Master. It's been 2 years since you left the house, right? It looks like the local maps changed completely since then. The crushing heat prevented me from noticing, but things really had changed a lot. I could see a new and unfamiliar mid-rise building in front of me. There were a couple of new condos here and there, too. And what few memories I had of the area that remained were quickly being overwritten in my mind. Must have been some of that urban development they've been talking about. I've lived in this town for a while now, but I didn't remember it changing this quickly in just 2 years. That or maybe shutting myself in my room made the gap seem that much more gaping when I finally tiptoed out. I was seized by the feeling that someone, somewhere, was gradually replacing my city, piece by piece. Maybe everyone who lives here, including me, just didn't notice until now. I mulled the idea as I turned back and made the right at the intersection, finding myself on a longer street. My home was in a surprisingly handy location. There was a variety of transportation options, and the street saw a decent amount of foot traffic. Watching the people crossing from left to right to left between the two buildings that flanked the street ahead didn't seem any different at all from watching the display I usually spent my time staring at. Okay, make a left onto the main street and keep following it. Then go right and, master? Yeah, got it. So, which way next? I said, go left onto the main street, then make a right. You sure are spacing out on me, master. Oh no, you aren't having heat stroke, are you? No, nothing like that. It just feels kind of weird. Is there really a department store in this area? There definitely wasn't one 2 years ago. Not a big one, at least. It used to take kind of a field trip to find any electronics nearby. No doubt about it, see? Here's what it says on the website. Your hometown department store. From home appliances and electronics to a vast array of kitchen accessories, we've got everything you need. Oh, but they only built it this spring, I guess. Oh, no wonder I didn't know. But why here, though? Well, it looks like they've been pretty aggressive about developing this neighborhood lately. If you go right here a little ways, there's a huge hospital, and then a new school after that. A big library, too, across the street. That all got built up from the end of last year to this one. All that? Man, this place really has changed. Anyway, here's the main street. Leaving the side street, I was greeted by a panoramic view of my town. Billboards and trees lining the road, office buildings and restaurants, students in uniform, company staffers apologizing on their phones. That and all the noise they were making. I felt something akin to lightheadedness at all the emotions it conjured up at once. I think I got a bail in, eh? Want to go home? Yeah, let's go home. Sure are a lot of people, huh? That's the elbow and holiday for you, I suppose. Better hang in there, master. You're not even listening to me, are you? Oh man, look at these people. The shade from the trees that dotted the sidewalk, wider and better put together than the one on the side of the road, made walking a bit less of a chore, at least. But all the people on the road and cars passing from one end to the other were making the heat index skyrocket for me. I pressed on down the road, muttering into my phone, before reaching a massive intersection. If you go back home, master, you'll know you'll just be like, ugh, I'm gonna die. Tough it out just a little longer. Look, can you... I can't do it. Talking to you just makes me more tired. Oh, it's green. Better cross. After crossing the intersection, I could see a park a small distance ahead. It was filled with playground equipment, swings, a jungle gym, a fountain, and lots of other stuff a kid would kill to play on. Moving ahead, I could see just a bit of classic big department store signage on top of the right-hand building, previously hidden by the sidewalk trees and such. Whoa, it's even bigger than I thought. I had no idea this was even here. It's the largest department store in the neighborhood, apparently. Why don't you take a look at the clothing section while you're at it? What are you, nuts? I told you, I'm going out today and today only. I'm sick of this damn heat already. Yup, called it. I knew that's what you were going to say. If you had honestly told me you were going to buy clothes, it would have been time to dial 911. What am I, caveman? I can buy clothes, dumbass. Oh? So go browse a little. Well, maybe not today, but... Before I could finish, I heard an ominous "keh-heh-heh" from my phone. I could already feel my face turning red as I put it back in my pocket. Ah! Master, I was joking! We can do it next time, okay? The phone stayed firmly inside my pocket. Yeah, I whispered to no one in particular. Next time. I doubt she could have even heard my voice. Making my way towards the advertising signage, I stumbled my way into another 4-lane intersection. The line of buildings on the right came to an end, revealing the full department store across the street. The scope of it could be described only as gigantic. The jam-packed parking lot was large enough to make an untold number of tennis courts out of. Cars constantly circled in and out. Beyond the multi-head traffic, the department store was made up of 2 buildings, both around 10 floors tall, with arched walkways connecting them every few floors. Wow, what a sight. You can build something like this in 2 years or so? Oh, you're already there? Master! Hello? I just crossed the intersection. Not yet. Let me see too. Come on, Master! All right, just shut up. Having enough of being ranted on at full blast, I nimbly took the phone out of my pocket and pointed the rear camera at the store. An impartial onlooker would probably guess I was taking a souvenir photo. Whoa, that's amazing. It's like some kind of castle. You know, that's not a bad way of putting it. Especially when it's all done up like this. Huh. Oh, hey, is that an amusement park or something on the roof? Let's go look! She used the phone's vibrate function to express her unbridled glee. Just as high intensity as always. More so, in fact. No, how about we not go look? It's not like you could try anything up there anyway. Lame. The phone erupted in a couple of short bursts of vibration, followed by the new text message jingle. I knew it was her doing, of course. It's not like there was anyone who'd actually be texting me. I looked at the screen, only to find her staring back at me, a peeved expression on her face. Her aggressive, furrowed gaze was enough to genuinely startle me. You could at least try to be a little more considerate, Master. There are all kinds of places I want to go. Yeah, that's great. You know you can't ride any of those rides, right? What's so fun about that? It'd just be boring. Alright, forget it. Just go on your dumb little shopping trip. Go ride the merry-go-round all by yourself for all I care. You're not catching me dead on that, okay? She flashed a look at me, and with that, the power shut off. Or not. The clock in the background was still on. Energy save mode, maybe. Either way, the screen was totally black. Huh? Oh, come on. Hello? I pushed some buttons and shook the phone around a bit. Nothing. Slowly, inexorably, the clock continued its advance. It was currently just past 12:30. What are you acting like this for? I really don't get why. Ow! Someone bumped into me. I had it coming, maybe. I was stopped just after the intersection nearby the entrance of the store grounds. Sorry about... I turned upward, involuntarily looking into those eyes, and for a moment, time froze. Even though it was midsummer, he was wearing a long-sleeved, light purple coat. His eyes were only just visible from deep within the drawn hood. But they were cold as ice, the eyes of some dead, inorganic beast. I was seized in fright, as if looking at some forbidden Bible, and I felt the sweat jetting out of every pore of my body. I'm sorry for... I bowed my head down, making my self-diagnosed social anxiety disorder plain to the world with my stilted apology. This is it. He's going to kill me. Thanks for everything, Mom. Wish I could have gotten a girlfriend at least. Oh, no biggie. Sorry about that. Huh? The moment I looked up, not a trace of him could be found. The front entrance was crowded, but not crowded enough for someone to disappear in a flash just like that. There was nothing immediately nearby that he could have concealed himself behind. Not that quickly. I braced my arms against my knees, my body ready to collapse on spot. My heart pulsed loudly into my ears, and the sweat oozed on cue. This wasn't just because it was the first time I interacted with another human being in ages. Those were absolutely the coldest eyes I had ever encountered in my entire life. And not because he was angry I bumped into him either. They were deeper than that. They emitted a sense of intense calmness, a calm beyond anything I could imagine. Right? Huh? I said, are you alright? Taking out my phone, I looked at the screen to find her perched in the center, apparently back in business, but just as pouty as before. Oh, you're still there? I had hoped you finally left me alone to, Somewhere around the moment I was able to finish the sentence, her face began to glow bright red. Was this bad? Yeah, this was bad. I had never seen her truly enraged before. But either way, this definitely was not her cheerful side. No, sorry, I'm just joking. I'm sorry, okay? Hey, let's go to the roof later. Up to that amusement park, okay? In an instant, the red that had stormed across her face disappeared, and her eyes shined so brightly that I could almost hear the sparkle sound effects. Great. I was just scrambling for words, I know, but that was one button I absolutely should not have pushed. The amusement park? Really? You just said that we're going? The phone practically vibrated out of my grip. The sparklies I heard in my mind were starting to get out of hand. Sure, yeah. Great, it'll be a nice change of pace. That's a promise, right? Oh, hey, let's go on that thing that goes up and down and stuff. And after that, after that? Part of me felt a twinge of regret at the reaction I was getting, but I figured it was harmless enough. I had already begun to file away my earlier encounter as nothing I had to concern myself about. This was more interesting anyway. The outside world was just as much a wondrous surprise for her as it was for me. She can't smell the city or feel the heat steaming out of it, and maybe it's made her far more enraptured with the world than I am, or ever will be. I went through the entryway, nodding in vague agreement to all her giggling requests for tour stops as I proceeded in. The design on the paved stone path leading in from the entrance must have cost a staggering amount of cash. It was hopelessly, thoroughly ornate, a mesh of rectangular stones in a dazzling variety of colors. No doubt it was meant to symbolize some grand, murky, spiritual something or other mere plebeians like me could never hope to understand. Tromping along this unstruttable creation of a no doubt lofty artistic genius, I reached the building that loomed on the left side of the path. From directly underneath it seemed impossibly high, giving the illusion of extending all the way into the cosmos. An information map, again done up in a gilded, ornate fashion, stood in front of the enormous glass door. It was encased in an exquisite frame, one that would be right at home surrounded by some great cultural masterpiece. Electronics. Oh, 7th floor. Once we're done with that up and down thing, I want to go on the roller coaster, okay? We can save the Ferris wheel for later, so... All right, I can hear you. We're going. She kept repeating her itinerary like some sort of magical incantation, to the point where I could imagine up and down thing and roller coaster leapfrogging over each other in my mind, one springing along after the other for eternity. Great, so let's get this shopping over with. Mouse, keyboard! I need something to drink first. The door automatically opened as I stood in front of it. In an instant, frigid air greeted me with its blessed presence. The pleasure rush was enough to make me audibly moan. You make it sound so dirty, Master. That's the first thing you have to say to your master after he's come so far? Oh, crap. I had yelled out loud at her. A family of customers browsing around a display of summer gear stared right at me, the youngest boy pointing towards me, laughing innocently. Yeah. Ha ha ha. I was sure they saw me as some sort of demented invalid. Putting on a less than believable smile, I let the boy watch me as I hurried myself out towards the elevators and out of sight. Don't end up like me, kid. The elevators were in a room detached a small distance from the shopping space, one that featured a bench and some vending machines lined up on a wall. An elderly man was sitting there, next to a woman with a baby in her arms. Oh, vending machines! It had finally come. The moment when I would get the beverage I had thus far denied myself for some reason, waiting until I had arrived at this exact place. My throat was so dry, I was afraid my esophageal walls would glue themselves together with every breath I took. I took a 1,000-yen bill out of my wallet. I'm a high roller, I know, and fed it to the drinks machine. That carbonated beverage was all mine. The thought of the liquefied sugar osmosing every cell of my body filled my heart with childlike excitement. The moment the button lit up, I jammed my thumb into it. There was just 0.3 seconds' worth of difference. I've got supernatural reflexes when I need them. The sound of the thudding soda can filled my ears with its blunt melody. That thud was surely one of the joys of the vending machine experience. I was almost moved to tears by the clunk sound I'd gone so long without hearing. The can I eventually picked out was blistering cold to the touch, like something from another world. It was sheer bliss, and my only regret was that this wonderful delight could only be savored by the palm of my hand. I was seized by the impulse to run this can over every inch of my drenched body, but that really would make me a pervert. Enough of that. The time had finally come. I pulled the tab and opened the can. The psh sound serenaded my ears anew. the aroma of the carbonated beverage ruthlessly, thoroughly caressing my nostrils. Without a moment's hesitation, I brought it to my lips and poured it down my throat. Then I let it soak in. No, that hardly begins to explain the feeling. I let it fill me in every way possible. You should stop panting like that, Master. It's gross. No, that's beyond gross. Shut up! If you could drink this, you'd do the exact same thing. I would not. By the way, Master, the elevator's waiting. Out of the 4 elevators that lined the wall, the one on the far left was open, people quickly streaming out of it. Once emptied, it briskly began to fill with impatient customers. Huh? Oh, yeah. I'll take the next one. Once I'm done drinking this. With that, I slurped down the soda, enjoying the fragrant carbonation as its sugary payload infiltrated every cell of my... Ah! It's closing! Hurry up and drink it! We'll go on the next one, for Christ's sake. I'm busy. Come on, hurry! What if it's closed when we get up there? They're not going to close the damn amusement park in the middle of the day. That elevator's full anyway. The remainder of the elevator line had already opted against joining the pack of sardines inside the car. Just hang tight for a second. I'll get us in the next one. Ignoring her, she put the phone on a low rumble. I examined the elevator a bit more closely. The up and down buttons were the kind that lit up with just a light touch, the arrows done in a fancy font that revealed the interior designer's thoroughness. A short introduction to the store was written on a plaque next to the left-hand elevator. Huh. The building's state-of-the-art computer-controlled disaster prevention technology provides the maximum level of safety possible in every corner of the store. Neat. State-of-the-art, huh? They better erase the state-of-the-art bit next year. Yeah, nice attention to detail there. You never know. Maybe they'll put some new state-of-the-art stuff in next year. Besides, they're just bragging us all. All they're saying here is, we got all this fancy junk on the outside, but the inside's full of high-tech crap too, you know? Huh. Sounds like a pain to keep running. I'll bet. Oh, here it is. The one light on the nearest elevator flashed, and just as before, the riders flowed through the open doors. Once everyone was spat out, the elevator was once again inundated with a steady stream of waiting shoppers. From where I was located, I would have no difficulty getting on this time. Tossing the empty soda can into the nearby garbage, I followed the flow into the elevator. The 7 button for electronics was already lit up in orange. Some previous passenger must have pressed it. I appreciated the gesture, given that the crush of people was making the button panel difficult to reach. Once the elevator approached its maximum weight load, the doors silently slid shut and we began to go upward. The air conditioning was on, but all these riders in a cramped space still made things sticky and uncomfortable. I wanted to get off as soon as possible, but we stopped at nearly every floor before the 7th, my body getting squeezed and kneaded at every stop before I finally reached my destination. Finally, the door opened, and I filed out with a few other customers. Compared to the summerwear, swimsuits, and food that spread across the first floor, it was a completely different world. The entire space was surrounded by large panes of glass, filling the floor with bright sunlight. The scene of fresh, inviting openness that filled it seemed strange for an electronics department. It exuded high-class stateliness, like an elite office building. The first thing that caught my eye was the kitchen goods department. It was lined with enormous refrigerators, all but daring customers to hang an entire pig's carcass from its roof. Something I would never fit into my place in a million years. I noticed a line of metallic, weapon-like rice cookers, all of which seemed far too complex for simply cooking rice. Colorful signs shouted "New Inventory" and "Hot Product" in large lettering. For someone like me with no interest whatsoever in this stuff, it all seemed totally alien. A large aisle, it had been 40-ish meters in height, slashed its way across the entire floor. On the far end, I could see fancy-looking audio systems and the latest flat-screen TVs displayed on the wall. Whoa, this is huge! I bet this floor alone is bigger than most specialty electronics shops, huh? Not wishing to get screened at any more than I already had, I pointed my phone's camera straight ahead as I hit the aisles. There were nothing but large appliances at the forefront, and judging by the length of the aisles and size of the building, you could probably find almost anything electronical you wanted in here. There must have been 10 or so employees milling around, all wearing vests with catchy sales slogans sewn on. Master, what's that? Looks like a bomb. That? What is that? Some kind of water heater? It looks like a huge hand grenade. With its rough, rugged design and uniform dark teal color, it must have been deliberately designed to resemble a weapon. If it weren't for a meter on the side showing the current water level, someone could have called the bomb squad by now. That is so cool! Hey, Master, you mentioned you wanted some hot water earlier, didn't you? Yeah, but I just didn't feel like going downstairs to make some instant ramen, okay? I don't need that piece of junk in my room. That, and I'd still need to go downstairs to fill it up. Oh, why not? It'd make a great conversation piece when you get a visitor. Sorry. Said too much. A pall descended between us. Her expression was solemn, as if she had accidentally brought up a friend's horrible incompetence problem at a dinner party. Let's just drop it. I apologize. I just wasn't thinking, so, I'll be more careful next time. Just drop it, okay? Oh, but, hey, check this thing out. That design is nuts. I frantically tried to change the topic to the microwave ovens lined up next to us along the aisle. Not only were they perfectly normal, but they were also from a brand I'd never heard of. A sign reading "Inventory Clearance" was tacked onto the wall, and they had all been discounted 2/3 of their list price. How about that, huh? Nice and simple. But that's what makes it so avant-garde, right? What do you think, huh? Want to take one home? Master, you need this even less than the last thing. That bomb was a lot cooler than this. Oh, also, what did you come here to buy in the first place? Oh, yeah, the mouse. Let's get it and go home. Master. 2 quick jolts of vibration signaled her sudden serious tone. No, yeah, I know. The amusement park. I didn't forget, all right? Where's the computer stuff? I peeked at the signs hanging from the ceiling, pointing out all the assorted electronics available. They were a little too specific to help me find what I wanted. Computer goods, Ugh! I was so busy staring upward as I wandered around that I bumped into one of the sales reps. It had been a very bump into guys kind of day. I wasn't much of a fan. Excuse me, could you tell me where the computer equipment is? I removed an earbud as I spoke, trying my best to sound apologetic to the employee while I did. Once I had a good look at her face, I realized that she was, well, pretty beautiful. She had to have a boyfriend. The sheer femininity she exuded told me that much. The employee said, confused for a moment. Oh, right, computers. Just go straight down this aisle, then go right down to the second to last aisle before the wall. Oh, thank you. My first decent conversation with another human being since time immemorial made me nervous, but the relief of pulling it off, and with such a pretty woman too, filled me with satisfying smugness. Yes, I like this store. I could feel my feet growing lighter as I traipsed down the aisle she pointed out. Master? What's up? My response sounded even more upbeat than I intended. Does talking to a woman really change a person this much? I feel like I have just uncovered one of the great secrets of life. About this. Suddenly I heard a stream of ambient noise broadcast into my ear. Huh? What are you... Just as I was about to ask, I heard the murmur of background noise hiss in my headphones. Then... excuse me? Could you tell me where the could you tell me where the computer equipment is? Said the creepily hushed voice of a young man. This was followed by a plainly confused, though still clear and refreshing, from a young woman. Then the recording ended. This is what you sounded like, Master. No wonder it took her a second to understand you. The results of spending the past year engaged in mumbly conversations with the mysterious computer AI were now crystal clear. I felt like someone had driven a cold, stone-like object into my stomach. I had to resist the impulse to scream at the top of my lungs. I'm pretty much used to it by now, you know. But for normal people, that's gotta be pretty tough to decipher. Let's just go home, Henry. No, Master, we haven't gotten to the amusement park yet. Oh, who cares anymore? This whole thing has been like a roller coaster to me anyways. I was afraid the tears would fall out if I looked down, so I kept walking with my head tilted upwards. I was never coming back here again. Oh, don't worry about it so much. If you want to talk, I'm always happy to listen. Great, because once we get home, I'm going to need some counseling. I want to die.
You got it. So just hang in there for now, all right, Master? Look, we're almost at the computer section, aren't we? To my right, I was greeted by an array of internet-ready handheld sets and cameras. They probably set up this display to cash in on the big video streaming craze. It was so stupid. Why can't we as a species all just stop talking to each other? The aisle beyond was radiant with super thin notebook PCs and high-spec computers for online gaming, the sort of machines that would normally make me squeal with delight. But now, I just wanted to get my mouse and stuff, get on the up and down thing, get on the roller coaster, and go home. I gotta get back home. Master? All right. I plodded on, towards the mouse display, signs on both sides inviting me to get on the net quickly and easily, and connect your phone to your PC for video chat, and so on. It was honestly just tiring to look at. Working my way through the gaudy showroom, I finally reached the mouse and keyboard section. It was packed with all the latest gadgets. Wireless, trackballs, you name it. Sure are a lot of them. Guess it doesn't matter what I get, but I may as well go for a durable model. It was so sudden. With no advance warning, a loud boom echoed across the entire floor, even blaring through my earbuds. It was a muffled, otherworldly kind of sound, but one I had heard before. On cue, I heard screams all around me. In an instant, my heart was racing. I impulsively ripped an earbud out. It added a vital sense of realism to the shouting and chaos that ruled the showroom wide. What the hell? I was in too narrow of an aisle to get the full picture. As I tried to reach the main aisle, the sound of something heavy and metallic thudding downward echoed across the floor once again. I looked back towards the elevators, only to find the corridor I had just walked down blocked by a white metal wall. It was as if the shutter was designed to cut the floor entirely in half, the side with the elevators and this side. I was completely sealed off, the shutter not touching a single merchandise shelf and not leaving a single exit. Looking towards the shutter at the far end of the now blocked main aisle, I instantly realized what was making the noise. I could hardly believe it at first, but once I grasped the reality of it, the blood drained impossibly quick from my face. That thing must have caused the first blast, along with the screaming. The female employee I had just asked directions from was lying there. A red puddle was slowly expanding beneath her, from her healthy-looking thighs to the white-tiled floor. The twisted look of pain on her face contained not a trace of the tearful smile that was once there. A large man stood nearby. He wore a stubby beard and the sort of sheer, body-hugging suit you see Special Forces guys wear in the movies. He had a pistol in his hand and grenades hanging from his hips. Real ones. A far cry from the water heater earlier. And yet he acted strangely nonchalant, as if nothing at all were amiss. Several other men were around him, all dressed alike. They encircled the stubble-bearded man, guns pointed at all the shoppers stuck in each aisle. Mine was in their blind spot, and from it I could hear the screams of shoppers, along with the strident, shouted commands from the men keeping them at bay. The employees were apparently just as helpless as the customers. There were likely more men besides the ones I could see. Everyone who heard the initial explosion and gunshot. Everyone who actually saw it. Everyone else who was running in a panic around the floor. All of us were corralled together at frightening speed. It couldn't have taken more than a few minutes. This group had the showroom floor completely under their control with astounding speed. That all of them? Yes, sir. That's everyone on this side of the floor, including the shoppers. Good. Oh, I suppose all of you were busy enjoying your little shopping trip on this holiday or whatever. Well, too bad. Guess you're out of luck today, huh? The stubble-bearded man bombarded those of us beneath him with this crass, unsettling voice. Several dozen of us were gathered into the corner of the TV department, on the far side of the 7th floor. We all had been made to sit on the ground, our hands bound with some kind of super strong adhesive tape. The glass windows the sunlight had been seeping through just a moment ago were covered in white shutters, the kind the employees lower down when the store closes. A cacophony of patrol sirens faintly weened in the background, and we could hear the voices of what we assumed to be the police negotiations on the other side of the giant floor-splitting shutter. 9 men stood in front of us, all of them dressed like walking definitions of the word terrorist. 3 of them had their guns drawn upon us, 3 of them towards the shutter, and another 2 were close by the presumed leader, the stubble-bearded man engaged in conversation. 1300 hours. It's time. Right. At the signal of his partner, who had been keeping a close eye on his watch, the stubble-bearded man took out his cell phone. He began to talk, the picture of calmness, like he was ordering a pizza. Suddenly, the voice emanated not from the man in front of us, but from the building's PA system at high volume. Test. Oh, can you hear me? Hello, officers. Another boring day on patrol, huh? I'm only going to say this once, so pay attention. The moment he began to speak, the negotiators across the shutter fell silent. The man took a breath, the faraway sirens the only noise we could hear. As you probably noticed, we've taken this floor. We've got several dozen hostages, and, they're all right for now. For now. So let's make this quick. We have one demand. We want 1 billion yen within 30 minutes. The man continued in this matter-of-fact tone, not giving notice to the reactions around him, as if he was simply asking for a side of cheese bread. The handover will take place half an hour from now, on the roof of this building. One of our men is already stationed up there. You will drop the money to him from a helicopter. Don't bother with counterfeit bills or tracking devices or anything. I'll just be wasting your time. Also, and I'm sure you can guess this, but if I start hearing things like, we need more time, or release the hostages first, we're going to immediately kill everyone here. This caused an instant clamor from the captured customers, one that was just as quickly halted by the barrels of 3 men's guns. Several customers were quietly choking back their sobs. Well, that about wraps it up. So try and act accordingly, alright? If you don't follow what I told you, no matter what it is, I suppose you know. Catch you later. After the man finished, his voice no more excited than if he were chatting with a friend, he sat down on a nearby bench, acting like this whole business was terribly annoying to him. How many people ever become terrorist hostages in their lives? It can't be that high a percentage. Now, how about people who had got taken hostage after stepping out of their homes for the first time in 2 years? Anyone besides me? I was disgusted with my utter and complete lack of good fortune. If today wasn't the very definition of an unlucky day, then I don't know what is. We have got nothing to do right now. Think I should have made it 15 minutes? The man had a leg on one knee, playing with his cell phone, not a care in the world. I thought that the ringleader of a gang about to commit the crime of a century would be, I don't know, less lethargic. It's only a little longer now, sir, said one of his nearby cronies, trying his best to tactfully appease him. They were already acting like they got away with a perfect crime. What were they planning to do after this? Do they have an escape helicopter coming? No way. They'd get tracked down and rounded up in one fell swoop. There had to be at least one more gang member, the guy who lowered their shutter and set up the PA announcement, besides the handover man on the roof. So much for that state-of-the-art, maximum level of security crap. This is a total disaster. That fancy-schmancy system gave them exactly the tools they needed. If all the security equipment was controlled by computer, anyone who sees that computer would have this entire structure at their fingertips from the control room. I had no idea how they did it, but judging by how calm they were, they must have been confident about their escape. They didn't make it look perfect, but everything had been handled perfectly so far. They had to have had something planned. But I didn't feel like just quietly waiting for it. Will they release us? These men didn't look like they cared about human lives more than a stray bug on their leg. And now they had our lives in their hands. A situation as unstable as this could fall apart at any moment. A catalyst. If there was just some kind of catalyst, we could flip this completely over. Suddenly, the stubble-bearded man stood up, his face twisted in pain, holding the back of his head. Hey! Huh? Ah! The man approached one of his cronies and punched him full in the stomach. Don't hum me. Who the hell do you think you're punching in the head, huh? Come on, tell me! He launched a swift kick at his crony, still writhing on the floor. Everyone nearby tensed up at this odd turn of events. Not even the men guarding us could fully conceal their agitation. What the hell's going on? I whispered to myself. As the ringleader's voice boomed across the floor, the man sitting behind me to the left suddenly began to snicker. Huh? Surprised, I turned to look at the man who erupted in this sudden, incredibly inappropriate laughter. Oh, sorry. It was just so funny. I couldn't help myself. I supposed he was a little younger than me. His large, cat-like eyes were situated underneath short, light brown hair,
his frame covered by a gray sports jacket. "Something funny to you?" "What? Oh, sure, this and that. You know, I can't help but notice that you've got some very interesting looking eyes. Let me guess, you're thinking about doing something, but you haven't spotted a good chance, right?" The shouting continued. Everyone, terrorist and hostage, was completely on edge. And yet this guy acted like he couldn't care less, as if this were a movie and he was just watching it on TV. "How do you—" Our hushed conversation was drowned out by all the terrorists ranting. The man with the cat-like eyes continued. "Oh, just a hunch. But how about it? You have some kind of secret plan, maybe?" Guys like these. If I could just get my hands free, I could make their eyes bug out in half a minute. "Yeah? Wow. You don't look like you're lying either. So, what kind of chances are you giving yourself?" Not to brag, but 100%. He began to snicker devilishly again. "You don't have to believe me. I doubt I can get this tape off anyway." No, sorry. It's not like I don't believe you. I just love that crazy confidence you have. Yeah, neat. He did not look like he believed me at all. In fact, he looked like this entire crisis was the greatest matinee show ever. But this wasn't a crazed man, driven into a mad panic by the ordeal. His words were strangely soothing. "You know, I think if we wait a bit, the guy's probably going to talk over the PA system. You'd be, guaranteed to see a chance after that, and then, well, it'd be up to you, I guess. Good luck, okay?" "Huh? What are you talking about? Don't you remember? I can't even get my hands—" God, this is pissing me off. "Hey, get me on the mic again. I got everything I want to say to those idiots." Yes, sir." Punching out his cronies, one by one, as they tried to plead their case to him, apparently failed to quell the stubble-bearded man's anger. The veins on his forehead bulged visibly as he ordered one of his men to get him back on the PA. It couldn't have been more than 10 minutes since the last announcement, and here we go again. The cat-eyed man took in the scene, basking in every second of whatever it was. Whether it was coincidence or not, he had predicted all of this. But will that give me a chance? And even if it did, unless I could get this tape off my hands, there was no way to take advantage of it. After his minion reported back, the man took out his phone and began the second broadcast. You guys hear me? I'm taking 10 minutes off the time limit. You now have 10 minutes left. You start whining about how that's not enough, and I'm killing half the hostages. Got that?" Once more, the hostages began to shout and scream. The terrorists guarding them, so quick to silence the group earlier, seemed just as nervous and confused at this sudden change of plans. "Also, I'm going to say this now, but after we get the money, we're all leaving by helicopter. I'd advise against trying to track us. If we go down, the bomb we have in there is going to take a nice chunk of the city out with us. If we notice even the slightest hint of pursuit, we're going to drop that sucker." The commotion rose up amongst the police on the other side of the shutter. I couldn't blame them. They were taking the entire town hostage. Whoever these men were, they were a tightly secured group, one with an incredibly well-thought-out plan. They were willing to stake their lives on everyone in town to make their escape, and given how well-armed they were, no way the police alone could handle them, not in this short a time. What is he thinking? My house could well be within the bomb range. If my mother or my little sister was back home right now, no way they could escape the blast. God damn it. This has to stop. I could feel myself growing incredibly unable to contain my bubbling frustration. The cat-eyed man spoke to me, as if he saw this coming. "Stay cool. This'll be just a little bit longer, so stay cool." I couldn't take his laid-back idiocy anymore. "Why the hell are you so goddamn relaxed? My family might die in a few minutes!" I had screamed at the top of my lungs. The entire floor fell completely silent. Even the men guarding us looked bewildered for a moment. The cat-eyed man made an "oh dear, now you've done it" face for a moment, but still didn't look particularly disturbed. The stubble-bearded man turned his sharp gaze towards me. Then he started walking my way. When he reached me, he stooped down and brought his face close to mine. "Who the hell do you think you are?" The moment he spoke, visions of the man's previous violent behavior flashed across my eyes. My body was filled with a kind of fear that was completely alien to me. I began to shiver convulsively. "Hey, what are you shaking for? Where'd all that macho bullshit go, huh?" Smirking, he took me by the hair and pulled me up.
All skin and bones, aren't you? I bet you don't even go outside at all. A wimpy little shut-in puss like you? Nobody's gonna miss you when you're dead, huh? Will they? The man erupted in a burst of laughter, then turned to speak with his crew. His loud voice literally rang in my mind. Good thing I only had to listen to him at full blast with one of my ears. For life. Huh? You say something? Speak up, I can't hear you. I looked him in the eyes as I tried to articulate as much as possible. I hope all you bastards get shut up in a jail cell for life. Oh, nice. That was a good one. The moment after my would-be critic stopped talking, a large television hanging just behind the man fell to the ground with a tremendous crash. It was so sudden that everyone instantly turned towards the sound. After that, the oversized speakers beneath it began toppling over, one after the other, even though nothing had touched them. Whoa, what the hell? The stubble-bearded man tossed me away like a rag and walked towards the mess, gun in hand. There's somebody in! Before he could finish, the shelf adjacent to the man suddenly tripped over, the merchandise it was holding falling on him in an avalanche. Ugh! Ugh! Beyond that fallen shelf, I could see the computer department I'd been holed up in when this all began. I had no idea why all this had been happening so suddenly, but this had to be my chance. A moment later, all the tension drained from my body. Off you go. Looking forward to it. I turned to the cat-eyed man next to me. He was waving a hand at me, smiling. Somehow, we were both unbound. On that day, my heart beat louder than it ever had before, even louder than when the siren jarred me awake that morning. I placed a hand on the floor and nimbly pushed myself up to my feet in a single motion. The gun-toting terrorists were completely taken aback, unable to follow what was going on. I could commiserate. I didn't really understand what I was doing either. But I knew what I had to accomplish. I jumped over to the mound of merchandise covering the stubble-bearded man, using him as a springboard to make sure he stayed there, and leaped for the computer display beyond. The other men finally reacted, turning their guns toward me. I could hear screaming and "look out" from the group of hostages. But all these reactions were too late. The target of my mission was right in front of me. Before my final leap, I gripped the phone I had taken out of my pocket and, for the first time in what seemed like ages, called for her. N.A. Do it! Once I'm done, we're going to the amusement park, okay? Through the earbud in my right ear, I heard the young girl's voice, perky as always. I had taken the phone in the display, demonstrating the computer cell phone connector cable, and replaced it with my own. In the blink of an eye, I could see a familiar form suddenly occupying every display in the room. As I saw it unfold, my stomach was suddenly racked by a force I had never experienced before, a force like something driving a hammer into my torso. Then, the world suddenly faded out of focus. I crumbled to the ground. Unable to cushion my fall, my unprotected face hit the white-tiled floor. I could feel all of the strength rapidly drain from my entire body. As my consciousness ebbed, I could hear all the shutters open up at once. My body was bathed in a warm light. It reminded me of sitting in my desk by the classroom window, napping. I swore I could hear a certain voice from the past talking to me. How long was I out? I woke to find myself lying in a bed within a book-filled room. I looked over to find a sink and a towel. Someone must have been taking care of me. My mind was still hazy as I felt around my pocket, but my cell phone was nowhere to be found. Back there, when we were taken hostage. Through the earbud I had kept in my ear, N.A. had never stopped talking to me. To be honest, I thought she was annoying me far more than the stubble-bearded guy. Right after they rounded me up, she was functioning as some sort of off-kilter cheerleader, along the lines of, "Ooh, this ain't good. Better keep yourself cool, master. I know we can survive this." But by the second half, when the stubble-bearded man was bearing down on me, she had transformed into a white-hot ball of rage. "Can we kill this guy, master? Can we? We can, right?" The entire building was under computer control. As long as I could get N.A. into the system, it didn't matter who occupied the control room. It was obvious that no hacker could have outwitted her. But amid the hostages, unable to use the camera or talk to me directly, it was really a shock she could figure out what was going on strictly by audio cues and occupy the whole system in milliseconds. I always thought her head was a little buggy, but I guess she had it more together than I ever knew. In a way, I suppose, I'm still alive right now thanks to N.A. I was still a little foggy on the details, but I guess I should thank her. I never got to take her to that amusement park either. But if my phone isn't here, did I leave it at the store? I'm sure she could easily find her way back out, but for now, however, I had best take advantage of this time I suddenly seem to have all to myself. Today, I think I'll sleep all day and... Wait, where the hell am I?
I shot up in bed and tried to gauge my surroundings.
Ah!
I heard a clang and then I saw her. A girl with long, white, fluffy hair. Was she my nurse or whatever here? Apparently startled by my sudden outburst, she had fallen out of her chair.
I'm sorry.
For some reason, she apologized to me. Then, for some other reason, she hid behind the chair. Once my head cooled down and I had a grip of the situation, I noticed that my body was almost completely pain-free. I seemed to remember being shot in the stomach. Could I ask who you—
Master, you're awake!
The moment I tried to speak to her, I heard an incredibly familiar voice. What was less familiar were the three figures that walked through the open door. There I saw the cat-eyed man, the guy from the entrance with the purple coat. Or at least at the time I thought he was a guy, but upon closer inspection, she is definitely female. And Momo, my younger sister, holding my cell phone.
Oh, Master, I'm so glad to see you in good shape. Now we can all go to the amusement park together.
N.A., bubbly as always, called to me from the phone speaker. Huh? Momo? And you, the guy from— What?
You are so stupid, bro. I was so worried about you. And N.A., you really can't expect us to hit the roller coaster after a day like that.
Momo and N.A. had apparently gotten acquainted with each other. They already sounded like good friends. I guess I wouldn't really mind going, but— Well, first off, what am I—
See? Oh, Master, what a rough and tough movie hero you are. A real man always sticks to his word. Let's go, right now, come on.
Hang on, what? The cat-eyed man chimed in.
People are going to an amusement park? Like, count me in too. Let's do it.
We're going out again? The white-haired girl, still sitting on the floor, seemed startled by the concept. Yeah. Sorry for all the commotion. Luckily, that shot only grazed you, so we decided to bring you back here for now. Didn't want to attract too much attention to ourselves. What? The hooded woman seemed different from before. Especially those eyes.
Master, we gotta hurry. The park's gonna close.
There were too many conversations chaotically flying around at once. My brain was over capacity. I decided to just stop thinking for a bit. Just whatever. No rest for the wicked, I suppose. Never should have expected any. I was hoping they would let me be for just a little bit longer, but N.A.'s pleading, high-pitched voice refused to allow me even that. I think I probably let a vague kind of half-smile across my lips. The cacophony of cicadas buzzed beyond the window, just as loud today. A long, long August 15th was just about to begin.